2017, at least camera gear wise, has been an incredible year with some fantastic products which are really going to help you in accumulating lots of gear and running up high credit card bills. They will also hopefully help you create better films or videos, whatever you want to call them, and photographs. I'm not going to have categories for everything. I won't have my favourite XLR cable, my favourite battery, or my favourite memory card. It's going to be the main things. And to qualify, it needs to be something that has been released in this year, 2017, and also something that I have first-hand experience with, because it is my favourite gear, not the best gear that's come out in 2017, it's mine. So if you watch this and go, well, how could he give it that, and how could he ignore this? Well, I've not had any experience with it, that's why. If something wins, it's not going to get a statue or a plaque. It's not even going to get a graphic. It's simply going to get a mention in this video, my favourite camera gear of 2017. 2017, work-wise, has been quite a strange year for me. I haven't worked on any big TV shows. From March, I started working on a training series, my cinematic masterclass, and it took over 6 months to make. A huge endeavour, 9.5 hours of training, and I think I'm very proud of it, I have to say. It really covers so much that you need to know when not just starting out, but also when you have some experience and you're trying to polish your skills in different areas. And it's available at this link. So let's start with one of the most essential parts of your camera gear. If you don't have one, you really should get one, and that is a tripod. Now, I've been using different tripods for many years. I have been in the business like 28 years now. And my initial tripods at Sky News were Vinton tripods, as well as some Sackler tripods, big video tripods. Since going freelance about 11.5 years ago, mostly I've been using Miller tripods, and I love Miller tripods. My DS20 and my Compass series and the Miller Air, they're fantastic tripods and I still use them a lot. When it comes to stills tripods, you don't want a big video tripod like that, you want something nice and lightweight. I don't have a favourite tripod that's come out this year for that category, because the ones that I use, which I love to bits, I actually got around September last year, so they don't really qualify, and that's the Photo Clam series of tripods. Incredibly rigid, carbon fibre, solid tripods, and nice and light. But my favourite tripod that has come out in 2017 is currently my favourite tripod full stop, and that is the Sackler / Vinton, because it's a partnership. It's all part of Vitek, their parent company, Flowtech series. The legs are fantastic. Yeah, I do have a bad back, and so it is important to have the right tripod, but it's also one that is really easy to operate and use and change height. Your height adjustment for every leg, from the lowest point to the highest point, is on these latches. And it's fantastic. The ability to change your height really easily and really quickly is just so much easier with this tripod. It's not for every camera. The payload does depend on the head that you put on. This is for the actual tripod legs. It's a 75mm bowl, so you can get a 75mm head which goes in there. I have a Sackler head on there right now, and it comes down to the payload, the weight of your camera rig that you have. So if you've got something really light like a GH5, then you'll struggle to balance your camera on there. So it needs to be the right head and the right payload to make it work really well. But when you do, it's fantastic. These legs are lovely to use. So much better for me. Next up is my favourite monitor that has come out in this year. Now, I have been using one brand pretty much exclusively for a number of years, simply because they are the best monitors that I've ever used, and that is Small HD. Fantastic group of guys. From the very early days of their DP1, they've improved with each monitor. And I just absolutely love them, and I cannot go out shooting without them. They are terrific. The new ones that have come out this year, the ones that I've actually used and actually do have, luckily enough, is the 503 and the 703. These are really bright monitors, up to 2,500 nits. That's a lot of nits. It means you can see the screen in bright daylight, although I don't get much bright daylight in England right now, but I have used it in intense sunlight in the deserts over in America, and it was just incredible. These are so good. They are expensive though, so if you are on a budget, these monitors aren't for you. But if you want the best on-camera monitors, I think these are fantastic. I do prefer the 703 because it has a bigger screen. I like that bigger screen. But that's not my favorite monitor of the year. My favorite monitor of the year is also by Small HD, and it's this one here. This is the Focus. This is their budget monitor. It's about $500. I think it's roughly about 700 nits. So it's not as bright. Let me just check that. I need to check that. Let me just check that, then I'll carry on. All right, glad I just checked. It's actually 800 nits. I don't want to like reduce it by 100 nits. So it's not as bright as the 503 and 703 in daylight, but it is pretty bright. And it's so light, and it runs off of the Sony NPF batteries. And if you put a 970 on it, for example, which is the bigger one, it's going to last all day, which is terrific. It's 720p, so it's not as high resolution as the other monitors, but it's terrific. It's great for gimbals, it's great for on cameras. It comes with this bracket here, and you can put on you've got like a cold shoe for adding extra accessories there. I love this monitor, my favorite monitor of 2017. I can't give you a favorite external recorder of 2017 because my favorite external recorder is the Atomos Inferno, which is terrific. It records RAW, it records in ProRes, from an HDMI and SDI, but I did get it last year, and I haven't got any other recorders this year, so there isn't a winner for that. But if it was best recorder of 2016, or best current recorder that I own, it's the Atomos Inferno. This may not be a surprise to you, but I love drones, and I've been using them ever since I got my first Phantom 2 with GoPro about 3.5 years ago. I have a number of drones, I have loads of drones. And remember, to qualify for this Best of 2017, it needs to have come out this year. My favourite current drone is still the Phantom 4 Pro. And I recently used it in Tuscany, and I got some beautiful stuff with it. I just love the image. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's not as quick to set up, say, as a Mavic Pro, but it's pretty quick and it's terrific. I've recently started playing with the X7 camera of the Inspire 2. The Inspire 2 came out last year. The X7 camera is the Super 35mm new camera that they have brought out for, which is absolutely wonderful too. But for drones, best drone that came out this year, well, it's obviously going to be this, the Spark. This is from DJI, of course, and if you've seen my review, if you've not seen my review, check it out on my channel. This is the most fun you'll have with a drone. It's so fun to fly. You do need to make sure you get the controller. Don't try flying it from just your phone, and make sure you have lots of batteries because they don't last that long, because when you start playing with it and flying with it, you won't want to stop. It's terrific. Yeah, it has all those gestures and things like that, but it's the traditional flying that I like, and the tripod mode. It's really robust, so you know, I love really just trying to fly really close to things, and it's just terrific. It's a really lovely drone. My favourite drone of 2017. So let's move on to lenses, and I'm going to break this down into two different ones: stills lenses and video lenses. Whilst you can use stills lenses on video cameras, having a dedicated proper video lens or cinema lens has huge benefits. And my favourite of the year, or favourites, is actually two of them. This is the MK series of lenses, cinema lenses for E-mount cameras. This is the 50 to 135. And there's also an 18 to 55, and the two of them are fantastic. Incredibly lovely operation, and a T2.9 all the way through, par focal, and they have back focus adjustment. They have a 200-degree rotation on the focus, lovely mechanics, lovely images, wonderful lenses. They are my favourite video lenses of 2017. So So let's move on to my favourite stills lenses. I have bought and continue to buy lots of them. I have sold some. If I don't use them for a couple of years, I tend to sell them. My main cameras are E-mount Sony cameras, although I do have other brands. I have Canon cameras. And of course you can use EF lenses on Sony cameras with adapters. You can't use E-mount lenses on EF mount cameras, so you can't use the MK series of lenses on Canon cameras. But my favourite lenses that I have actually bought this year are not actually made by any of the major manufacturers. This one here, this is the DSLR Magic 35mm f1.2, and it's for E-mount, and they do a series of lenses. They do an 18mm, which I haven't got yet, a 25mm 1.4, the 18 is 2.8, 25 is 1.4, this is 1.2, they do a 50 1.1 and a 75mm 1.4, and they're fantastic manual lenses. They have lovely mechanics, a nice rotation on the focus barrel, and they have lovely smooth iris. I love the images from them. I've used them on a number of my shoots this year and just love the look. Beautiful bokeh, really, really lovely lenses. They're not as sharp wide open as you're going to get on some of the more expensive lenses, because these are actually pretty cheap, but the images you get from them are absolutely lovely. I'm continuing to mess around and experiment with 360 video. It's really fun. It's not a replacement for traditional filming. It's just something which is new and different. And for me, I find it really exciting. And it's been over 3 years now since I first started experimenting. And every camera I've owned has been pretty disappointing when it comes to the video image. This year though, I got my first 360 camera that gives me video in 360, which is an exceptional quality, really lovely. And it's from this one here, the Insta360 Pro. This is fantastic. This is 8K. Going to have 6 lenses on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lenses, 6 sensors. It's just a wonderful looking image. I recently received a new 360 camera to add to my collection. I haven't had a chance to really use it yet, so I don't know just how good it is, but I have confidence that it is actually going to be pretty good. I just don't think it's going to be as good as the Insta360 Pro. It doesn't have as high resolution, but it is cheaper. Which camera is it? It's this one here, the GoPro Fusion. Next up is my favourite 3-axis gimbal, and I'm going to have 2 for this. I'm going to have a more expensive winner and a budget winner. I think my first one was probably the Movi M10, and my favourite over the years has always been the Movi M5. It's just wonderful, really reliable and fantastic performance. And this year, although I think it came out last year, so it's a bit of a cheat, but this year I picked up the Movi Pro, the fantastic, incredible 3-axis gimbal. I think it's the best one on the market. It is not cheap though, so if you are going to get one of these, you really need to be serious about your gimbal work. When it comes to more budget gimbals, there's so many out there, and I have loads of them, and I am planning to do in January, hopefully in 2018, a comparison of the different ones out there. But my favourite one that I have been using this year and came out this year is from those guys at Came TV. They made the Profit, and I tried their single, and the single was okay, it wasn't too bad, but their Profit is really nice, really lovely and smooth, and it has accessories, so you don't have to use it as a single grip. You can have double grips, you can have also one that takes out the up and down, and you can also have a nice ring, a little bit similar to the Movi ring, but it is terrific, and I do love this. So my favourite gimbal 2017, on the high end it's the Movi Pro, and on the budget end it's the Came TV Profit. Now on to my favourite microphone of the year, and I haven't bought many microphones this year because I have loads. Last year there were some terrific new ones from Rode, the NTG 4 and 4 Plus, which were fantastic. In fact, I have one on the camera right now, although I am being recorded mostly on the lav mic here. But my favourite new microphone of 2017 is this one here, which is the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, and it's terrific. It's a fantastic upgrade from the original Pro. It has the Rycote mount here, which is really lovely and robust. It has a removable 3.5mm cable for plugging into your camera. It has a rechargeable battery, although you can also use AA batteries. But my favourite feature is when you plug it in to the camera, it turns itself on. And when you take it out, it turns itself off. Simple things, but make a huge difference. The amount of times I have plugged in the microphone, but not turned it on. Oh, I've never done that. I would never do that. But if anybody has done that, they understand, you know, what I'm talking about. My only negative is to say that if you're using mirrorless cameras, this can get in the way of your face a little bit, so just poke into your forehead. So you just need to mount it a little bit further forward, and you can get little extensions for that. So this is my favourite new microphone of 2017. Let's go on to lights, and my favourite lights that I've got this year are actually from Came TV as well, and I've been using them since last year as well, and I have loads of different brands, and there's some terrific ones from Aperture, for example, who make some really terrific lights. But their new lights, Came TV lights, this is from the Boltzmann line. They have a huge different variety in there. They have some incredibly bright lights and some much more lower powered ones for backlighting. And they're Fresnel lenses, so they're focusable, and some of them are bicolor as well. I just love these, and you can mount soft boxes onto the front of them and all sorts of things. They are terrific lights. So the Boltzmann line of lights are my favourite lights of 2017. So let's get on to the part which most people will be interested in, and that is my favourite cameras of the year. And I am going to break this down into subcategories. I'm going to start off with my favourite DSLR of 2017. Now, my favourite DSLR that I own and use for a video, and sometimes stills, is the Canon 1DX Mark II. I think it's an exceptional camera. It's a bit of a beast, it's heavy, it's expensive, but the video is exceptional. The 50p, 60p, 4K, it's a 1.3 times crop, it's not full frame, it's beautiful. It's the best DSLR that Canon make for shooting video, by far. Probably their best stills one. It's just a shame that 5D Mark IV has that huge 1.74 times crop for video, because I definitely would have bought it, because I love that dual pixel autofocus of the Canon DSLRs. They're fantastic. But that came out last year, which means it can't qualify as my favourite DSLR of the year, although it is still my favourite DSLR that I own. This is the D850 from Nikon, and I've got this on loan right now. I have to give it back soon. It's terrific. It's by far the best camera that Nikon have made. It has exceptional quality stills and video. It's by far the best DSLR for video that Nikon have made. I know it's not a massive statement because their video has been somewhat lackluster, but this is terrific. I have to say, it's a beautiful, beautiful image. This camera is everything that the 5D Mark IV should have been, but isn't. So it's got a few things annoy me, and that most is down to the fact that it is a DSLR rather than a mirrorless camera. The lack of a stabilized sensor. Once you've shot with a stabilized sensor, it's hard to go back, especially when you shoot handheld video. It's difficult, and of course, because it doesn't have an EVF, you can't have that stability. By shooting like this, you have to look at the rear screen, so it isn't ideal that way. So you do need an IS lens, and you need to get a loop on there like a Zacuto Z Finder. And there's other few quirks here and there which are slightly irritating, but the stills are exceptional. The video looks lovely. It is only up to 30p in 4K. There is no slow motion, but it's a lovely looking camera, and I will be doing a review of this, and it will be out in early 2018. Let's move on to my favourite budget mirrorless camera of the year. I don't have a budget DSLR because I haven't tried any other new DSLRs apart from the D850. But I have tried and I bought a number of mirrorless cameras this year. And this is the Fuji X-T20. It's a somewhat stripped down version of the X-T2, but it's very, very similar. And it's an exceptional stills camera. Really beautiful, fast, lovely. It doesn't have some of the weather sealing in the body of the X-T2. It isn't quite as fast, but it is nice. And it does actually have a touch screen on the back, so that's really good. The video is okay. It's a nice image, but there's no flat profile. And you only have the stock emulations, which are nice, but they're quite contrasty. And the lack of stabilized sensor is an issue because the rolling shutter is very much there. So you do need an IS lens somewhat when shooting with this, but it's a lovely stills camera. If you're looking for a budget mirrorless camera for stills, then the X-T20 is definitely one that you should consider. My favourite mirrorless camera of the year is, without question, the Sony A7R III. You can see it here with the 8-SID cage and holdfast gear strap and Voigtlander 40mm f1.2. And this is a really, really lovely camera. It's not been out long, but I have had a chance to use it on a number of occasions. I showed you some images a little earlier from Florence that I shot with Sarah and using this camera, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. I don't think the video is that different to the A7R Mark II in 4K. It's still only 8-bit and it's only 420 and it's only up to 30p. And the encoding is the same, it's XAVCS, and the output is still only 8-bit. So it doesn't have those improvements. It still has obviously the 5-axis stabilized sensor, has massively improved autofocus for video, touch screen tracking, which is terrific. Although I do use a lot of manual lenses, I do like autofocus for certain situations, and it is so much better. The slow motion no longer is cropped like the A7R II. It's no longer 720p. It's full sensor and it's 1080p. I don't think the image looks that different to the A7R Mark II, but that was a really lovely image anyway in 4K. Stills wise, it's very similar. It has the same sensor, it just has different processing, so it's a lot faster. It does 10 frames per second in mechanical stills, which is terrific. The quality is fantastic. It has loads of incremental improvements. One of the biggest things though is the new battery, the FZ100. It lasts over 2 times longer than the old crappy little batteries that we all hate from the A7 and A6500 style cameras. So big improvements on that. We have dual ports for USB, so we can plug an external battery source in there, like a USB battery, and also a timer for time lapse. So you've got 2 ports for that. So loads of improvements, and I will have maybe a review in January of this camera, maybe even earlier than that, I don't know. But I think this is a terrific, terrific camera. Is it worth buying over the A7R II? I think so. I think the features like the battery and the change of position on the record and the improvements on the slow motion and the autofocus make it so much better for me. I think it's a terrific camera. I know people are going to ask, should you upgrade from an A7S Mark II for this? I would say probably not. If you bought the A7S Mark II for its incredible low light ability, I'm certain an A7S Mark III will come out at some point next year. I don't know when, but let's hope that has 10-bit 4K at 50-60p, because that's what the GH5 does, and it'll be great if it has that. I don't know if it will, but as it stands, this is still a terrific camera and my favourite mirrorless camera of the year. Now it's time for my favourite video camera of 2017. I haven't bought that many video cameras or tried that many video cameras, new ones this year. My main cameras are the Sony FS7 and FS5, and I've used both of those a fair amount this year. But I did get a chance to shoot with some very cool new video cameras. The Panasonic EVA1, which is Panasonic's first venture into sub 10,000 large sensor video cameras since the AF100, and the Canon C200. Both of these are really fantastic video cameras. I only had about a week with the Panasonic EVA1, and I shot as much as I could in that time to try out the different things. I guess kind of the headline features are it's Super 35, it has a Canon EF mount, it has dual sensitivity, so the different pixels for 800 and for 2500 ISO, so you can switch between them. So if you're going into low light situations, you change your base sensitivity to 2500. It has 4K, currently only 8-bit, over 30p, up to 30p it's 10-bit, but there will be firmware which will improve that and give it 10-bit, 50 and 60p, which is terrific for 4K. And HD, it does 10-bit internal recording. It does do slow motion, it does continuous slow motion up to 240 frames per second, which is it's a bit compressed and a little bit soft, but it's not bad and it's continuous, so it's pretty good for that. And one other feature that I really like is the ability to swing away the infrared blocker from the sensor. Now, if you follow my work, you'll know that I love shooting infrared. I love experimenting with infrared video and stills. And I've modified a number of my cameras to shoot infrared, but it does require a permanent mod. And to have a camera where it can just swing out, and when you first try this, you probably won't really like it, because what you're getting is everything coming through. You have what's called a full spectrum sensor, so it's seeing infrared and the normal visible spectrum. So you need to put on filters onto the front of the camera which cut the normal light to give you the stylized effects. And I get asked for these questions like, well, what's the point? What benefits are IR giving you? Well, for me, it's just a creative thing, purely a creative thing. But I do love it. I love experimenting with it. But it can't be the main reason to buy the camera. You've got to love the image. And I really do like the image. I don't think it blew me away. And I am going to have a proper review of the EVA1 really soon. I really like the image, but as somebody who owns an FS7, it doesn't really offer me anything compelling over the FS7. If you're coming in new, then maybe it is certainly smaller. But I will cover this in much more depth in my review of the EVA1. I think it's a really, really nice camera, but it's not my camera of the year. And without question, that goes to the one that's filming me right now. And that's a Canon C200. When the specs came out for the camera, I guess the headline feature is the internal 12-bit RAW recording. And it's really lovely using CFast cards internally. The only real problem for me in that RAW is it isn't supported by Adobe Premiere right now, and there's no, that I can see, plans to support it. So you do need to convert it if you're going to edit it using DaVinci Resolve or the free Canon software. And the image is really lovely from that cinema RAW light. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if you can't record RAW, it records on SD cards, and it records MP4 of about 150 megabits a second, I think. But it's only 8 bits, and the quality isn't as good as the RAW. It's not as detailed. It's still a really, really nice image. It's what is filming me right now. And I love it. I think it's a terrific image, and it's really usable, workable files. I just wish it had something in the middle. It needs to have a 10-bit internal. It really does. That is just on the codec, an iframe codec, 10-bit. And there's no plans for it to have that. If you're working in broadcast, this camera isn't going to be for you. Hence, when I shoot my broadcast work, I'm still going to be using my FS7. But for other work, my corporates and stuff where I'm filming myself, this is a terrific camera. I think the reason why I love it so much is the dual pixel autofocus. It's so good. It's what's, you can see right now as it follows me. It keeps me in focus. It's terrific. You can shoot at 1.4 like I am right now and not have an operator, and it's terrific. And even if you are operating it, you just set it up, put it onto facial tracking, and it's terrific. It has touchscreen tracking for objects, which even the C300 Mark II doesn't have. You have to go into the remote app to select what you want because there is no touch screen, or you can move the joystick around. It's terrific, and it has really good low light ability too. And I love the Canon image. It's so just lovely. It's a lovely looking image, fantastic autofocus. Once you've started using autofocus like this, for certain situations, it's really hard to use a camera that doesn't have it. The Panasonic EVA1, for me, if it had continuous video autofocus of this sort of quality, would make it easily the best camera out there, but it doesn't. The autofocus from it is disappointing. It's not continuous. You have a push autofocus, contrast based. It's simply for getting that focus. It does have a focus assist mode where it shows you when you've kind of got it right, but for me, the lack of that is the biggest disappointment on the EVA1. And that autofocus and how good it is the reason why I love the C200 so much and why it's my video camera of 2017. So that's everything. Those are all of my categories, all my favourites of 2017. But do I have an overall favourite of the year? Well, yes. No, I don't actually. I'm torn. I'm really torn. And so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give it a tie. It's a tie between the camera that's filming me right now, the C200 for its exceptional ability in autofocus, combined with the lovely image quality. It's a terrific video camera, my favourite video camera of the year, and tied as my favourite camera product of 2017 with the Sony a7R III, which is just an exceptional hybrid camera for shooting stills and video. It is terrific. There you go. So what does 2018 have in store for us? Well, probably loads more stuff, more expensive stuff to buy, more credit card bills. I think the thing I'm most excited about and hoping will be great is the Sony a7S Mark III. It can have that S Mark II quality, but with up to 60p 4K in 10-bit, it's just going to be the best small camera out there. Let's find out. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic 2018. I'll see you there.